This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. My name is Joe George. You find me on Twitter at Joe George Radio. And the Cubs lose 10-4 to the Padres in another bullpen absolute disaster in this one. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money using code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first order. Somebody send that to Tom Ricketts. Maybe if he knew how to budget his money, the Cubs would spend some of it on a bullpen, because my God, what a disaster this was. Eerily similar to the 10-6 loss against the Arizona Diamondbacks earlier in this season. 8 earned runs given up by the bullpen in this one. Jameson Taillon was fine. He gave you pretty much everything you could have asked for in this game against a really good lineup. The Cubs score 4 runs. Lots of missed opportunities that we'll discuss as well. I can't put this fully on the bullpen on this game, or Craig Counsell, or Jed Hoyer, or the Ricketts family. So we'll get to all of that throughout this one, plus your comments. I could see early. I was in the room as the chat was going, and the people are pissed with how this game turned out, as they should be. This was a mess, a total mess from the Cubs bullpen. So let's start off at the very beginning of this disaster, I would call it. So the bottom of the 6th, Taillon goes 12-pitch walk to Manny Machado. There's 1 out in the inning. Craig Counsell brings in Keller, and then this really starts to unravel here. This, to me, we're going to get to it right away. I'm going to call this the turning point of tonight's game.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I don't want to pass the blame off the bullpen for what happened in this one, but the vibes could not have been good for anyone like it was for myself. They were bad vibes all around when Matt Shaw, Dansby Swanson, and Ian Happ are all running towards the ball, and it just drops in the 6th inning. And that's really where things start to unravel for the Cubs. So the ball drops, then they walk Bogarts. Iglesias gets his first RBI. Both of his RBIs tonight probably want to combine. They were talking about the broadcast. Probably would combine 30 feet, honestly. Like the dribblers. So it's a dribbler to make it 3-2 Cubs. We got 1 out. Jason Hayward goes up the middle. It hits off Dansby Swanson's glove. It's 3-3. Wade strikes out, and then they strike out Gonzalez. Keller does as well. So they kind of avert disaster there in the bottom of the 6th inning. Sorry about that. In the 7th inning, the Cubs will have advantage opportunities to score runs. They don't do so, which we'll hit on again in a little bit. But then it really, really unravels in the bottom of the 7th. Tatis walks. Luis Arias hits a double. So you got runners on 2nd and 3rd with no outs. They intentionally walk Manny Machado. Bases are juiced. You get a wild pitch from Nate Pearson. This guy could not find the strike zone if it was the size of Texas in this game. Nate Pearson was dreadful. He could not find anything going. Sheets knocks in 2 for the Padres. It's 6-3. You get another walk. 5 straight runners have reached, and then Iglesias grounds out. Here comes Eli Morgan, and yes, the thing just continued to unravel at this point. So if you look back to the Diamondbacks game that happened, where the Cubs ended up losing 10-6, the bullpen gave up 10 runs in that game. Very similar to this. Nate Pearson, 2 earned runs in that one. He walked 2 guys. Thielbar in that game, 2 earned runs, walked 3 guys, and then Eli Morgan gave up 6 earned runs himself in that game. Today, Keller gets charged with 1 earned run. Nate Pearson comes in. He gets 1 out. He gives up 2 hits, 3 runs, three of them all earned, and 3 walks. And then Eli Morgan pitches 2/3 of an inning, gives up 4 earned runs with a walk himself. And, of course, he left the game with an injury, which made just this postcast show take forever to start, because the Cubs had no one going, because he was going to probably just finish this thing out and just be the sacrificial lamb in the bullpen. So Pearson and Morgan, again, kind of the commonalities between these 2 games, where the bullpen gives up 10 runs and the bullpen gives up 8 runs. Now, look, there's a lot of questions happening in our YouTube live chat. We're here live after every single game. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us at 11:57 Central Time. Yes, it's on them. Clearly, they're not good. That we kind of knew. But this is what happens when you don't address the bullpen. Now, they brought in, you have Porter Hodge. They acquired Ryan Presley. Yes, they got Nate Pearson last year, and he was good for the Cubs last year. But we all kind of knew going into the season that the bullpen was largely unaddressed, And this is what we saw in the Diamondbacks game. And yes, and I don't want to take away, like, they did good versus the Dodgers. They did. Like, they are part of the reason why they shut down the Dodgers, why Shohei Ohtani got one hit. But they're having 2 of these games where you're giving up 8 earned runs, 10 earned runs, and they're just total disasters. It just shows you what it is. Now, Nate Pearson, he got the full-on announcer jinx there, had not walked anyone in his last 4 innings pitched, then again, could not find the strike zone to save his life at all in this game. And this is where you can question, like, how long do you leave these guys in for? But what are your other options? Like, that's where I hate to be like a defender of Craig Counsell in this moment, but like, I don't know what he's supposed to do. I don't know, because the guys that Jed Hoyer and this ownership group have given Craig are capable of this. That's the thing. Yes, they are capable of being average, but they're also completely capable of being total disasters like they were in this game. And think about this. The San Diego Padres had not given up a run in 34 consecutive innings, and the Cubs got 4 on them tonight. They had the lead when Taillon left the game. I know this is a good lineup, but we saw what this team just did against the Dodgers in the last 2 games. They're capable, but they just totally imploded on this one. And I do think it's fair to question how many of these guys will even not just be here in a month or 2 months. I kind of wonder for Nate Pearson specifically, like, what the answer is after this game. I would be a little surprised, to be honest, if we see him pitch again for the Cubs anytime soon. I know that feels reactionary a bit because, again, he hadn't given up a walk in his previous 4 innings pitched. But if they're capable of doing this, you just have to find alternative solutions. And I saw Sam tweeting about this, and Sam and Matt will have a show coming up here a little bit after us that'll get published here on the channel, so make sure you're watching out for that. But they just don't have the high leverage guys outside of Hodge and Presley, and I would say Keller too. Like, I put those 3 guys are all options in high leverage situations. They don't have the other guys. Now, some of it is jealousy as you're watching it happen unfold, but the Padres obviously have done a great job establishing their bullpen. They have a ton of guys that can throw gas, that can get outs, and the Cubs just lack that on a consistent basis. So that's something that, kind of like the Justin Steele thing, you don't have to wait to replace these guys, whether it's trying out other minor leaguers, because to be honest, they're the same quality. I'd rather be throwing, shots in the dark with some younger guys that, also throw gas and maybe see if they can get some outs. At least those guys don't have, the book written on them at this point in the season. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is walks. And that's something that's been very clear for the Cubs throughout this entire season so far. You go back to, and look, and that's kind of baseball 101. We all know that. Don't need to tell anyone that. But when you walk this many guys, it's a huge problem. And that's where the pitchers, it falls back on them, is you have to throw strikes. So this game kind of totally encompasses the problem with the offseason, with the pitchers themselves, and the front office not giving the budget that a major market city and team should be spending with. And also, I think it goes back to, as well, some of the development stuff. The Cubs are not bringing up guys left and right that are developing into good bullpen arms. They're having to bring in flyers in free agency or flyers through trades like Ryan Presley because they're not developing. So it's just kind of all encompassing. A game like this shows some of the missteps of the Cubs organization, and it costs you a game in which you should have won. You should have beat the San Diego Padres, at least from the early part of this game standpoint. Now, while the bullpen was a disaster and gave up 8 earned runs, when we get back, we're going to talk about a couple other things in this game. The missed opportunities can't be ignored from the lineup also in this game. And we'll talk about Jameson Taillon, his performance, and the continued hot streak of both Michael Busch and PCA. All that coming up next year on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller longer. I go with the no-shell variety. It makes it easy, not going to make it less work. My son can snack on them. He's 4 years old. He ain't going to be trying to work on any shells or anything like that. He just wants to eat the food that's in front of him as easily as possible. So that's why in our house, we go with the no-shell variety. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com monarchmoney.com to learn more. Today's show also brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center so you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. That all-in convenience is huge. All-in-one convenience is huge. Instead of having to have multiple apps, just having everything right in front of you with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, a couple comments here in the chat. David says, Jed and his scouts have no clue what a good relief pitcher even looks like. Total incompetence by them once again. Yeah, not a great day for Jed Hoyer here, I would say. Not being able to, it just, again, exactly what David said and I've been saying. They can't identify guys. It's clear in the bullpen, to even be somewhat positives on a consistent basis. Because, again, they've been fine. But consistently good, that's not something that I think any of them really believe there are going to be. So the Cubs scored 4 runs. So not to take away totally from the bullpen in this game, because they are the reason numero uno why the Cubs lost this game. But the Cubs did have a lot of missed opportunities. A lot of guys left on base in this game. You go back to the top of the 4th inning here. Okay, so Justin Turner is safe. Michael Busch gets the home run. Nico gets a double. PCA gets a double. It's 3-1 Cubs. PCA's double was 108.6 off the bat. He gets caught on the base pass, so that's kind of your first missed opportunity there with him being thrown out on the base pass there. But then the top of the 5th. So Matt Shaw gets the infield single. Ian Happ moves him over. Kyle Tucker gets intentionally walked. Justin Turner fly out. Michael Busch strikeout. That ends the top of the 5th inning. So nothing. Top of the 6th. P. Crow-Armstrong single. Miguel Amaya single. Matt Shaw gets the inning over. Another missed opportunity. It happened again in the 7th. A walk, Ian Happ advancing on a wild pitch, and then Justin Turner and Michael Busch both getting out in this game. So, yes, this game's on the bullpen and the guys that were put in front of them by just not being good enough. But the Cubs also left a lot of guys on base in this game and just, against a really good pitching team. Like, we know how good Dylan Cease is, obviously, and then you see what the Padres bullpen was doing against you. You had opportunities to put this game away and to make it much easier and less stressful on your bullpen, and the Cubs just failed to accomplish that. So I think both sides of this have to take a little bit of the blame for this game, but it really, again, it's mostly on the bullpen on this one for sure. Now, Jameson Taillon, a couple things on him. He pitches 5 1/3, gives up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Thought he was pretty good in this game. Something, though, I think to keep an eye on. That might be nothing, might be something. As they pointed out on the broadcast, if you're watching, I don't love seeing a starting pitcher, his fastball drop by a full mile per hour for an entire start. That makes me a little nervous, especially just coming off the Justice Steele news. But Taillon typically sits around 92, was sitting around 91 in this game tonight. So his velocity is down in this game. Again, effective against the Padres lineup in this game, but his velocity was down. So I'll be curious what Craig Counsell and they say about that after this game, and if that's something we need to keep an eye on. Maybe it's just down for one game against the Padres, and that's all it was, and it'll be fine in the next one. But the Cubs are in a tough spot without Justin Steele. Like, they will have to be creative. Like, while Colin Ray was good against the Dodgers, and in my opinion has definitely earned at least one more start, if not 2 more, as they try to figure it out. You can't afford to have another starting pitcher this early in the season get hurt. So definitely something just to keep an eye on at this point. Now, Michael Busch, on the positives here, he hit another home run in this game. He's really figuring it out very quickly. I know last year he had a great West Coast road trip. It seems like he's one of the best players in baseball based off last year and this year when he's on the West Coast. But 2 for 4 or 1 for 4 tonight, 2 RBIs, gets the home run, gets a walk. Kyle Tucker did not get a hit in this game, but has extended his on-base streak to 18 straight games. Was given a free pass for that one, so kind of cheated his way over there, but he got it done. We saw Justin Turner DH again. Reports coming out from the Cubs is that Suzuki and Carson Kelly could both be back by the end of the series if not by Friday. Clearly, Suzuki is not ready in any capacity to be back, because I did think that when they brought in Birdie to pinch hit, that if Suzuki was healthy at all, that's clearly the move you make. He was not ready, or that wrist must be feeling just not ready to go. So I guess we'll wait to see if he's actually back on Wednesday or Friday. At this point, I'll keep an eye on that as well, but just something to keep in mind of, if he's not available tonight, I'm not confident he's going to be ready for the day game or the mid-afternoon game on Wednesday. So really just a bad game all around. Outside of, I would say, Michael Busch, Crow-Armstrong, and a pretty good performance, a pretty solid performance, I would call it, from Jameson Taillon. A lot left to be desired by your lineup, and very bad day from your bullpen. All right, that will do it for us here on the Locked On Cubs postcast. Thanks for hanging out with us late on these West Coast games. I know it's late, so appreciate people staying up. Remember, hit that subscribe button. Matt and Sam will have their podcast available on here as always as well. We will be back tomorrow night after hopefully a much better performance from the Cubs bullpen and the Cubs overall, and hopefully they can get back into the win column to be on track to win another series against the San Diego Padres. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.